Some people build a business to change their life. Paresh Davdra built one that changed the game, but behind the billion-pound headlines was pressure, loss, illness, and silence. This is what happens when success breaks you, and you choose to rebuild anyway. Welcome to the Gentleman's Health Hub. I'm Derek, founder of the GHH brand and your host. This is a space where we have real conversations with men who face pressure, setbacks and transformation, mentally, physically and emotionally. Today's guest is Paresh Davdra, otherwise known as Paz. He built one of the UK's first fintechs, scaling into the billions. But behind the success came personal battles, public pressure, and even a fight with cancer. What followed was silence, reflection, and a new way of living. This episode is about what happens when your identity is tied to achievement and how you rebuild when it all shifts. So, welcome, Paz.
Thanks, mate.
First of all, I just want to start with a bit about mental pressure. So, you reached what most people see as the peak, yeah? Running a £1 billion business. What was the mental toll that came with that?
I don't think so. First of all, like however big your business gets, I think that when it's growing anyway, you have the same kind of pressure. I don't think it.
I don't think it shifts.
Yeah, regardless. I mean, yes, you'll have more employees, but then you have more management and things like that. So as long as you're doing it correctly, the pressure I think remains the same. As long as you have that pressure to grow, which is what we always kept on having. The pressure remains the same way, you know, that kind of fight to grow.
So you don't think you ever woke up one day just saying to myself, okay, thousands, millions, billion, and it just felt different? It just flowed smoothly in a sense, or?
No, I think other people notice it more than I did. So it's more people saying it than you reflecting on it in yourself. And that's one of my regrets, because a lot of people say, oh, you need to enjoy the journey. And
yeah, definitely.
You just don't. You don't have time to enjoy the journey. And you're worried about making the next bit or hitting the next milestone, because your expenses go up in line with how much you make.
You're always feeling the pressure.
Yeah, always.
You didn't enjoy it?
I don't think... I mean, there were occasions where, you know, we had fun and things like that. And obviously... you know, we had some very nice parties. We took the whole company abroad a few times, and all of those sort of things were fun. But like that daily pressure of, okay, we need to make money, we need to do this, we need to pay the bills, everything was always there.
Did you ever feel like you couldn't show weakness or ask for help, even when things were going wrong?
Tough question, really. I think yes is probably the answer to that, because when you've got lots of people that are working for you, especially sales hungry people, the last thing you want to do is show weakness. You want to keep positive. You want to keep saying everything's good and moving in the right direction. And same to your outward customer base. You want to obviously portray the right image.
Positive.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that positivity drives positivity as well. So I think that's really important too. But 100%, then I would come home and feel absolutely flat, you know, like.
Well, did you talk to your wife about it or not really?
Yeah, and I'm very lucky that she's into a lot of spirituality and crystal healing and things like that. So she would take me through various rituals when I was feeling.
Did it work?
Yeah, I felt something lifted off me.
A shift.
Yeah, I felt like, you know, I felt a bit more freer when she would do those sort of things, and that 100% did help, you know. So I also I'm sure we'll get to these points, but I also started reading Jay Shetty and things like that, and Joe Dispenza, like listening to their podcasts, and which I really could resonate with, and you know, really feeling that whatever you're going through right now, when it was low, is temporary.
So it kept you motivated?
Yeah, definitely.
How did your identity shift once the business was no longer there?
It was a very quick kind of turnaround, to be honest. And, you know, I was very lucky that so many people that had been customers of mine or acquaintances, knew who I was as a person.
Personally.
Yeah, and they reached out. In fact, one of the people that has invested in our new business, Validat, he reached out very early on to say, look, whatever you're going to do next, I'm very interested in coming on that ride with you. Let me know.
Did you purposefully always keep a direct relationship with your clients?
I didn't know, but there were a number of clients that we, took on in the early stages who remained clients for years and years and years, and became friends, and who I'd used to see, just outside of working environments and things like that, who we had fun with and things like that. So they got to know who I really was, and actually, looking back, there were a lot of times where I would be very open with them about where I was, or if I was facing a kind of like a bit of trouble, or
You think that kind of helped?
yeah, because then people get to know who you really are. You create a real relationship.
So, as men, we often tie our worth to what we do. How did you untangle yourself from that after the business?
Not living in the country really helped. So being in Portugal, I used to say actually that that pressure you get from being in the UK, and seeing people having nice cars or wearing fancy watches or wanting the biggest house, I felt like it's a UK pressure, because now that I don't live here and I live abroad, and I've got all expat friends who are of a similar age, who might be working, have high-end jobs or have their own businesses, no one talks about that stuff.
But it's just simple living.
Yeah, it's like they might have, and a lot of them do have nice watches and big watch collections and supercars and yachts and things like that. But no one's talking about it. No one's going on about, oh, I've got, it's not that
I feel
kind
like in the UK, it's a lot more spoke about.
yeah, 100%. 100%. It's that pressure of needing all that stuff to fit into a certain group isn't there. Everyone's happy to meet new people and help if they can, and, do things together.
So you're definitely approaching things different this time around in business.
Yeah, I think that, one, for sure, I'm not putting that pressure on myself to think about where I'm going to be next year or the year after or anything like that. I'm taking things as they come. I really am enjoying every day. And, we do new things in the different businesses now that I'm involved with. Yeah. And it's fun. We try and make it fun,
What does rock bottom, if you felt rock bottom, actually look and feel like when you've been at the top? Actually, better question, did you feel like you was at the top?
Probably not right at the top, but
You felt like you was up there?
yeah, because people were putting me on a bit of a pedestal, which obviously boosts your ego and things like that. I'm really lucky that I've got an awesome family, and I've got an incredible wife who is very supportive, and when things went wrong, I already had a trip booked to go to India with my parents, and I went on that trip, and we actually went round all the temples. And I'm not that religious that I'll go to temples but I say prayers, like I think quite a few people might, and I say my gratitude prayers now and things like that.
Yeah,
But I think it was just the right time for me to be in a different environment, and I guess have a little bit of a spiritual journey, and that kind of helped me throughout that process. But then everything was quick. I was in fight or flight mode, and
It wasn't.
yeah, I was just going for it. So
No, which is good. So when we get to rebuilding after that, what was the first step mentally?
it's really hard to say. I think that like I told you, one of my old clients, he was key in basically helping me get back on the horse.
And he came to you at which point? When it was going down, or when you...
It was done, and he came probably after my trip to India. I came back, and he was like, let's meet up.
And that lifted your spirit straight away?
Yeah, definitely, because I didn't know what I was going to do next. I had no idea. And first of all, he gave me that confidence. He said that you haven't had a successful business unless you've lost the business. But he said he had been through all of that before
By
himself.
himself as well.
Yeah.
Big numbers as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing I mean, he's one of the most successful people I know, and one of the most humble. Absolutely. So he's doing incredible numbers. You saw him at my birthday party.
Which one?
He was there, Vimal.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he was there.
Okay.
So he's a really good guy, and he helped me bounce back a lot, to be honest, from a business perspective, for sure.
A lot of mentorship along the way and
Yeah,
boosting.
definitely. And we meet up. I mean, today I was with him actually as well for a few hours, and we'll talk about where the business is, what we need to do, what ideas we have, how we could pivot, what else we could be doing, and it's super useful.
Was there any shame or fear attached to starting over?
Not to starting over, but like when I felt like things were going bad, I'm very close to my dad, so I was very like, I had a conversation with him to say I'm sorry, I don't want you to be embarrassed of me, and
Swear?
yeah, and
You felt like you let him down?
yeah, I did, yeah, and he turned around and said, "You're absolutely being silly. Like, you make me proud all the time, every day, and on everything you've done." And that was like almost like something lifted off my
Heartwarming.
yeah. So
Like, family was very supportive.
yeah, honestly, like, I couldn't be luckier with my family. So yeah.
Oh, wow. In the mix of all of this came a cancer diagnosis. What space were you in mentally when that came?
So I think it's like the series of events is needs to be aligned. So I actually took a step back from the business in 2017, and that was probably at the peak of the business. And we appointed a CEO to run it, etc. Probably that was the mistake, but never mind. Like 6 months after that, so I'm thinking, oh great, now I'm
Gonna live some life.
yeah, but 6 months after that, I got diagnosed with cancer. And initially, when I got diagnosed with it, they didn't know what it was, and it was a huge lump in my chest. Well, it looked like it was in my lung, but it was on the right side of my chest, and it had squashed a third of my lung, basically.
So were you feeling pain? What happened? What made you...
I just couldn't breathe.
Oh, okay,
So I couldn't breathe properly. Like, I'd just start coughing, and even talking like this, I'd be like,
Which made you take yourself into hospital?
Yeah, and then, well, my wife made me take myself to hospital.
Yeah.
And got an X-ray, and the guy that was taking the X-ray, his face just changed, which gave it away that something's really wrong here.
And what was your first thoughts? Oh, shit.
Yeah, basically. And then they put me on the ventilator, like the respiratory ward, and I'm that kind of person that grabs the doctor to say, give me an answer, let me know what's going on. So the next morning when he was walking past, I said, what's going on? I've got loads of
They didn't
tests.
tell you nothing about...
No, nothing. I didn't know. And he goes, well, we're going to have a meeting this afternoon and discuss your case, and then we'll be able to tell you. I said, yeah, but I'm going to be all right. And he then sat down on the bed, and he basically looked at me and goes, no, you're not going to be all right. You've got a big lump that's the size of a football in your lung, because they thought it was in my lung. And, I don't know, like, I'm pretty sure it's cancer. I'm 99.9% sure it's cancer. So I turned around to him and I go, well, there's a 0.1% chance it isn't.
I'm here with that 0.1%.
And he just looked at me like, okay. And then he walked off. And there were like several people around my bed, my sister, my wife, everyone. And no one said a word. Even me, I was just
No
like...
tears, no nothing, no emotion.
Yeah, nothing at the time. And in my head, all I was thinking was, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to sort out all my finances? How can I make sure that my wife and daughter are okay?
First thing that comes to your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, proper, like, just trying to, like, okay, if he tells me I've got 6 months, what can I do to make sure that,
Everyone's good.
Yeah. So, and anyway, he came back that afternoon and he just looked at me and goes, right, you're going to Charing Cross and they're going to start treatment. And I went, okay, but so what? They're giving me chemo, like, do you know how long I've got? I'd already kind of registered in my mind.
I think you're going to die.
Yeah. And he goes, no, no. You're gonna get chemo and like, this is a curable cancer. I went, what? And he goes, yeah, actually, not that anyone would want cancer, but if they were going to get any kind of
This
cancer.
would be the best one to get.
That's what he said.
Yeah, this is the best cancer.
Then everyone started
So
crying.
what cancer was it?
It's called a germ cell tumor.
Okay.
So it's the same as testicular cancer, but you can get it in your abdomen, between your lungs, which is what I had, or in your skull, in your brain. Yeah.
Did
so.
that change how you view time, success, and pressure?
So yeah, 100%. So first of all, I went through like 5 months of intensive chemo, and there was no energy. Like I was just basically in bed or in hospital during that whole time, and I had a massive kind of like appreciation for people that are older that go through chemo and stuff. I thought, wow,
Was you on a ward with
yeah,
older people?
yeah, or my age. The cancer I had is very common for people that are between their 40s and 60s, I think. they say.
Okay.
Or, no, sorry, apologies. 30s and 50s. So, yeah, and like I just thought, wow, like I'm struggling with energy here. I don't know how these people.
Were they
manage to do it.
positive?
What's that?
People around you, not even family. I'm talking
Not
like when you was on the
everyone.
ward and stuff. Were they positive?
There was quite a few people that were positive, and there were quite a few people that weren't. So there was a young boy there actually. He was only 18, and he used to sit there like really depressed and stuff. And I remember just one day I had a conversation with him, and like we started chatting about stuff and just talking like about music and this and that. And the nurse comes over to me and goes, "He's never ever talked to anyone like this." I went, "Oh wow, wicked!" And then like 6 months later, when I used to go and visit the nurses, I went, "Oh, how's he doing and stuff?" And they went, "Oh, he passed away because he just refused any more treatment."
Did you ever get to that kind of point? Did you have dark moments?
I never thought I would ever. I knew I was going to survive, and I would do whatever I had to do to survive. Like the chemo is so hard. Like when they told me they were going to put one more. They were going to do one more round with me because they thought it was done, and I was like, yes, that was my last
I know
one.
it's hard to explain it.
Yeah.
Explain what chemo feels like, if you can.
It's just, I don't know how to explain it actually. You can get all kinds of side effects. I didn't get that many. I was just so tired, like so super, like zero energy, you know? It was like weakness, and it just like like absolutely finished. You can't do anything, you know? It's a horrible, horrible, horrible drug that saved my life.
Which is key.
Yeah, so
After that healing process, how did you navigate healing emotionally? Not just the physical aspect, but the emotional side to it.
that takes time. I think that takes quite a bit of time. But we went on quite a few holidays. You know, we started then traveling and stuff.
I
And
watched straight after.
yeah, once I had after the chemo finished, I had a 3 month break, and then they did an open heart surgery to take out the tumor, which then took me another 3 months to recover from.
Big scarring or no?
Yeah, from the top of my neck to probably like the middle of just under my chest, basically. So yeah, and then after that, yeah, we just had some fun, enjoyed ourselves, and then a year later we had COVID, so that all stopped.
But did your outlook on life change?
Yeah, I had really switched off from business. I was enjoying my life with, my wife, and I wasn't concerned about like the normal things. I was really lucky.
Money wasn't an issue.
I was so lucky. I was so lucky even during my treatment and everything that I had the business that was basically paying me every month without me having to worry about work, you know. So I was really lucky to be in that position, to be fair. So although the business, I didn't get to an exit with my business, I enjoyed many years of earning very good money for a long period of time. And I think that I'm very grateful for that because, it gave me a quite nice life for a long period, and a lot of learning, met a lot of good people along the way, created a huge network of people, and I always consider myself really lucky to have that. So
That's good. So what does mental maintenance look like for you now?
It's tough because, you know, I can't speak for everyone, but I address this when I'm feel like I'm going through a bit of a low, at which point I'll remember that I want to do all my, say what I'm grateful for, remind myself of all of that. Maybe I'll listen to some podcasts, you know, Joe Dispenza podcast or something like that to remind me of what I should be thinking and how I should be thinking and, you know, where my mind should be at. But you know, when you're in this mode of just working and things are going good, you don't really think about. You don't think about.
It's only when it gets a little bit dark.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I get that.
I think so, and I think that I should be more consistent with it and remind myself. And I try more and more. My wife's really good at reminding me to be humble.
I think they said it takes about 4 weeks to create a new habit. So
Yeah.
even if it's just meditation every morning, but if you do it straight for 4 weeks,
Yeah.
it becomes a habit. How do you protect your peace in a world that always wants more?
Say no.
You strong enough to say no now?
Yeah. Say no.
Do you say no a lot?
Not to opportunities. I tend to hear them out and see what they're about, but like if it doesn't resonate with me, I'm not doing it. You know, even like you know, one of the other businesses, Miriam Capital, which basically deals in with people that are involved in high risk industries and things like that, where we then have a panel of bankers that we can bank these people with. If what they're doing doesn't really resonate with me, I don't think it, you know, if there's something that's not ethically for me, then we'll say no, we'll walk away from it, you know. And I think that's important. That really does bring you peace because you're not doing anything wrong.
What do you wish more men knew about stress, burnout, and internal pressure?
It's not, it's the external or other people that can put pressure on you. Choose the people that are around you wisely. You know, pick your circle wisely. Be around the people that bring only good, positive energy, and you know aren't just in it for themselves and genuinely worry about your well-being too.
For someone listening who wants to grow £1 million business, what's one thing they need to be prepared for mentally? Well, let's not even say a million. We want to talk billions. To grow £1 billion business, what's one thing that you think they should be prepared for mentally?
Hard work.
That's it.
I think a lot of people think that they. So you speak to a lot of people, a lot of business owners as well. Oh yeah, you know, I want to grow it. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then you know, I work with some of these business owners when if I send them some business or something like that, they're not available, or I get a message 2-3 hours later, or
Yeah, be ready to work.
yeah, I think so. You know, like that if you want to make a change or you want to make a difference, you have to put the hours in.
What do you wish you knew before stepping into that kind of growth and scale?
Don't know. That's a really tough one. I don't know actually. I learned so much along the way, and I guess if I look back to think about what I wish I'd known, I'm still learning today. I mean, I don't know what I could turn around and tell there's even I feel like even if I went back and told myself sell the business when it was really like doing well, I mean I don't think that it would make any difference, you know. So
Can you still build something powerful without it costing your peace? Well, that's a question for now, to be fair, because you're trying to build something powerful again. Is it costing you peace at all?
a little bit. I mean, I'm working a lot again, but I'm really enjoying it this time. I was enjoying it last time as well, but I'm genuinely enjoying my time. You know, like I'm doing it on my terms. I live where I want to live. You know, I work from home. It's all on my kind of terms. It's not, you know, I'm not being pushed in a direction by anyone that I work with, and I know that I can switch off whenever I want. Not that you do, but
Try.
yeah.
This question, funnily enough, is very similar to what we just said, but I'll try and change it a bit. Something you'd say to yourself in a Rational Effects boardroom if you had 30 seconds with yourself. Just 30 seconds. it could be at, let's not say the downfall, let's say it was at the peak. At the peak of the business, you had 30 seconds with yourself. What advice would you give yourself?
Get out. Sell.
Sell now. This is the exit time.
Sell.
Okay, cool. That's good enough. And for the man listening right now, rebuilding silently, dealing with pressure behind closed doors, what would you want him to take from your story?
Everyone that wants to build something is going through the same journey. They have the same emotions. They have the same pressures. No one has a perfect journey. There's not one person in business that can say they don't have to face challenges.
I
And
don't think there's no smooth sailors.
there's absolutely no smooth sailors. It's just how you sail. So,
And with that, we'll call it a day. Paz, thank you for being here.
thank you. Great.
Honesty was great.
Yeah.
And definitely sharing your journey with us. That was amazing. And for everyone listening, if this conversation hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who may need it. If you've got a story of pressure, growth, or rebuilding, or you know someone who does, we're always looking for real voices for future episodes of Gentleman's Health Hub. Drop us a message on Instagram or email us through the link in the show notes. Until next time, look after yourself and look out for each other. Thank you.